Hello, welcome to my video on how to bring Grimdark to your D&D campaign. Now, what is Grimdark? According to the Wikipedia, Grimdark is a subgenre of speculative fiction with a tone, style, or setting that is particularly dystopian, amoral, and violent. The term is inspired by the tagline of the tabletop strategy game Warhammer 40,000. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Now, for all you grimdark veterans out there, this is not for you. This is for new or perhaps people who haven't delved into the grimdark genre in the D&D campaigns, and those specifically. I am not going to talk about other tabletop RPGs that are vastly superior at grimdark. This is aimed specifically at DMs of D&D 5e who are looking to make their campaign more grimdark. Grimdarking D&D can be challenging, but far from impossible. Just because your players are superhuman heroes does not mean the world cannot terrify them. Getting your campaign the right amount of dangerous with the right atmosphere is the goal. And as I've previously stated, there are better TTRPGs for Grimdark. This is undisputable, but D&D is familiar, and there are arguments for understanding that knowing a rule set amazingly well frees the mind to work its terrible creative magic, and for DMs, that freedom can be crucial. And for the eldritch, dystopian, algorithmic god, there's a sixth bonus tip at the end, so watch the entire video. So tip number 1. Grimdark is an atmosphere, a feeling, and nothing is more terrifying than the unknown. Demons of the mind. When bringing horrors to your party, consider this. The fear of what they are fighting, a lot of times, will disappear with the realization of what they are fighting. Keep things vague. The eldritch creature that stares from the darkness will only become that much more terrifying if the players don't know or understand what it is. Your players don't need to know every detail of the villain or monster they are fighting. Take current existing stat blocks from monsters from 5e and change their appearance and lore. Try to throw your players off from guessing what they are fighting. Surprise them with abilities they don't expect, and as previously stated, always be vague, as familiarity is the enemy here. As H.P. Lovecraft said, the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. An atmosphere correctly established by the DM is absolutely crucial and the most important tip of this video for DMs looking to create a grimdark atmosphere in their D&D campaign. One major tip I can give in regards to creating that dark atmosphere is to listen to audiobooks of grimdark novels. Maybe it's Warhammer Fantasy, maybe Gotrek and Felix, or perhaps it's something else that you know of. Perhaps it's even reading a H.P. Lovecraft or listening to an H.P. Lovecraft novel. What will happen there is you listen to how the audiobook is read to you, and you can instill that into your DMing style and create these monologues that can truly terrify your players. Tip number 2. Death. Death equates to fear, and if your players don't fear death, then it will be quite difficult to capture that truly grimdark feel. Try keep combat somewhat rare yet deadly. If every fight has the true potential to be your players' last, then they will enter it with a trepidation that will season your grimdark atmosphere beautifully. Consider this. The players are confronted with a choice. Summon the eldritch horror and try to defeat it, or banish it to an unknown place from whence it came with a risky yet long RP focused ritual. Some players might immediately choose to fight it. However, if they fought something a couple of sessions ago that truly put the fear of the gods into them, and they understand just how risky combat is, will they truly be willing to risk it again? Not just themselves, but the entire party. and perhaps the fate of the accursed village they are trying to save. And of course, there is always another thing to consider. There are worse fates than death, which we will touch upon later. Tip number 3. Injuries. Good old infected wounds. I've had players ask me why I'm so passionate about infected wounds in my campaigns. Well, let me tell you, using injuries in D&D is crucial to setting a grimdark setting. And using injuries in D&D is somewhat challenging, as rules for injuries that come with 5e are just not that good. Thankfully, there are tons of supplements out there, and I would highly encourage you to find them. Just Google D&D injury supplement and let the hunt begin. I personally am using Maxwell's Manual of Malicious Melodies, which is both free and amazing. And it works with Foundry too, so for all you automation hogs out there like me, it's pretty great. I cannot stress enough how important injuries are to creating a grimdark environment. It's all about risk versus reward and battling that fear. The Sparkle Elf might not be so sparkly when its gaping neck wound is gushing ooze and the paladin has lost an arm battling a dystopian horror for the good of their god. It's flavorful, it's grim, and it's truly dark, and it lets you add an element of horrible fear upon your characters that will not end with them playing that character. So if the grizzled veteran makes it to session 15 and he's lost a hand and an eye and he's got scars all over his body and his mind is collapsing in itself, that's how you know you're running a grimdark campaign, because the players are sucked in and they want to keep playing despite the fact that they're watching their character crumble. Now, this is not the goal of a grimdark campaign to make the characters suffer. It is just a side effect of a successful campaign. Remember, characters in grimdark campaigns are generally deteriorating assets. They become more powerful as time goes on, but they become more damaged and disturbed individuals. So you need to be able to weigh the risk versus reward. Remember that. That is truly crucial. Tip number 4. Insanity. Now, this is a complex one, as true insanity is not easy to understand or pen rules for. The mind is a complex labyrinth, and unhinging it and destroying it piece by piece is, although very grimdark, also quite difficult to manage and do right. There are 2 ways to approach insanity, in my opinion. And I'm sure there are modules out there like Darker Dungeons, which is a free supplement, that do it better than I do it. But this is just how I view it, and this is my tip to you. When introducing insanity to your campaign, there are 2 ways you can approach it. Attribute-based insanity and RP-based insanity. So attribute-based insanity is simply reducing mental attributes such as intelligence, wisdom, and charisma to represent the character's degrading mindset. And the other is, as it's stated, completely RP-based insanity. The first is quite easy to do and easy to homebrew. However, it is by far a far cry from the true horrors of a collapsing mind. Simply reducing a character's charisma score isn't truly going to bring home the fact that their mind is crumbling due to what they've seen in life. But it might be a good way to ease your players into the concept of insanity. The second, RP-based insanity, is far more complex, more difficult to manage, but ultimately more rewarding. What makes it so difficult to implement, however, is you are expecting your player to understand the basic nuances of their disorder and to effectively work it into their own RP. If they do it well, and I'd say a lot do, congratulations, you have something truly wondrous for your campaign. But all too many times I've seen players become a kleptomaniac and become instantly and utterly destructive in their RP, becoming instantly a liability to the party. The lack of subtlety and breakneck character change is immersion destroying. So if you choose this option, do by all means help your player understand the slow degradation of disorders of the mind. A good tip here is to implement triggers that you can control that almost activate the disorder. This way, you can help them slowly grow into it. Tip number 5, corruption. You can attack a character's mind, attack their body, but what about their soul? Corruption is an interesting tool. I personally found Adventures in Middle-earth by Cubicle 7 to do this very well. They also do the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy RP, the Grimdaddy of Grimdark RP in my opinion. But essentially, in that setting, committing evil and unspeakable acts caused your character to need to take a corruption check. When your character reached a certain point on the corruption chart, it would begin to change their mood and maybe even their view upon the world. Eventually, if the corruption chart score got too high, the character would retire from adventuring, a weary veteran that has simply seen too much evil and has lost the heart to fight on. You can make homebrew mechanics for corruption very easily, but don't forget to give players a way to remove corruption. They do things like help the needy, visit their family, or maybe spend time praying to their god on a fasting ritual. Corruption is something that should be manageable until it's not, and it should come with very heavy consequences, such as a changing of the character's general alignment, perhaps even possession, or it could actually change their appearance and bring on a withering of what the character represents and what they stand for. This is not attacking the body, this is not attacking the mind, this is attacking the very core of who a person is and changing the very fabric of their beliefs and what they represent in the world. A player can do this many different ways, especially with a DM's advice. But truly, corruption can be an amazing tool to setting that grimdark setting. And before I give you the 6th tip, please hit that subscribe button. Appreciate it. Now, the 6th bonus tip. Make sure you speak to your players about what they are willing to be tormented by. This is very important. I've had a player in the past utterly terrified of something specific. I left it out of everything as it was a hard line for that player. Some DMs don't believe in this approach, but if your goal is to set a dark, demented atmosphere to suck your players in and terrify them, then you should be aware of how real those feelings can become. And one thing Grimdark campaigns have in common with all other campaign types and systems is the goal to have fun. So talk to your players, tell them the theme and what might come up, and ensure they are comfortable to engage. And if I still haven't convinced you, then consider this last point. The player's mindset for the campaign is crucial to allow you to truly bring that grimdark atmosphere. If the players have no idea you are trying to run this style of campaign, and they are all cracking open cans of beer and making merriment while you're trying to describe an unsettling scene of a withered old tree, that, my friend, will crush your immersion. So be honest with your players, let them know what you expect of them, and find out what they expect of you, because Grimdark campaigns are not for every table. Thank you for listening to my video. I don't make these often, but I felt passionate enough about this one to make it. Please subscribe and come see my own Grimdark campaign on my Twitch live. We stream a few times a month on different days. Live eternally in darkness of the unknown, my friend. See you next time.